even if you're not focusing on something specific, you can just kind of fill it with activity and with things that make you happy. So, you know, it could be hearts, balloons, teddy bears, flowers, colours that you like, and just send that through your body. Fill it with love, with joy, with happiness, with contentment, all through your body, and then back up and out as far as it will go.
Hey, I'm Ronja Sakata, founder of the Joy Academy and Queen of Joy. That's how my friends call me. It's so important to me that my life is full of joy and that I enjoy every moment, because I know how fast it could be over. We can do so many things to bring joy in our lives, to create joy, and that's what this podcast is all about. I talk with people and they tell me how they bring joy to their everyday life and how they create a life full of joy. So let's dive right in, and please tell me after the episode what your takeaway is from this talk. Welcome, Angie Taylor, to the Let's Create Joy podcast. I'm so happy that you are here. We just recalled it's been 6 years since we saw us the first and the last time at the live event in London. So I'm so happy to talk to you for a whole hour about you and what you do and what brings you joy and how you create joy in your everyday life, because that's the magic we want to know from you. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Ronja. It's a real pleasure to be here, and I can't believe it's been so long since we met. I'm a French translator, French to English translator, but more importantly, probably for the purposes of joy, I'm also an EFT and matrix reimprinting practitioner. That's tapping, emotional freedom techniques. And it's just so amazing to have such a fabulous tool literally at my fingertips for creating joy. And it's just so easy, and you just kind of do a little bit every day, just help bring your joy levels up, get rid of the blocks. And you can do it for yourself, but it's just so wonderful to be able to do it for other people and help them chip away at what's blocking them and help them find the joy inside them as well. And that just gives me such a buzz. It's really
so beautiful. You have to explain afterwards, okay? I love tapping myself, so that would be so cool if you bring everybody to the fingertips. That's really right. If you have two hands, you have this tool to your fingertips all the time.
Yeah, even just one hand's good enough.
Yes, one hand. That's true.
But I'm sure you know Brad Yates, the American EFT. I won't call him a guru, the EFT guy. He often compares tapping to Michelangelo's statue of David, and he said the statue of David was always in the block of marble. You just had to chip away at the bits that weren't meant to be there, and then you uncover this beautiful statue. And he says that's what it's like with all of us. We just chip away at the bits we don't need anymore and uncover our real joyful selves. And I think that's a beautiful analogy.
And what brings you personally joy? Like, what is, of course, helping others? You told us that already, but like in your everyday life, just random, whatever comes to your mind.
I try and look at the small things. I think it's so important not to take anything for granted. Even if at the end of the day, all you've got to be grateful for is that you saw a beautiful flower while you were out for a walk, or your cup of coffee tasted amazing or smelt wonderful. That's something. Just don't take anything for granted. And I always try to be grateful and show gratitude at the end of every day. Look for the small things that are often easy to overlook if we're busy and we're just going about our lives. We're often looking for these huge moments of joy, wonderful experiences, but you can find them in the tiny things, and I think that's really important. So that's what I try to do.
Yeah, that's something I love to do too. Like, really, like, you can train your eyes and your whole perception for the little things, I think. like a little kid, I just pick the feather from the ground, and I always feel like, oh, my angels are with me. That's just like, yeah, I think it's a child. What the child can do, we can take and use it as grown-ups too, for being in wonder. I took a video of the blossom. The cherry blossoms are now like the buds are so, they're just about, there was one flower open already on the whole tree. Oh, and I love cherry blossoms.
So do I. It's beautiful.
Yes, the little things. I'm such a big fan of the little things.
Yeah, going for a walk in spring when all the cherry blossoms out, it's just so wonderful, isn't it? It's beautiful.
I met my husband underneath the cherry blossom trees in Japan, so it's even more, it's just like the beauty of these blossoms, and it's 20 years ago, and it reminds me of this cherry blossom party, because Japanese people are really celebrating the sakuras, so.
Yeah, they love it, don't they? And they have so much of it. Yeah, it's amazing. But
it's so easy, There's just every tree in the whole city, not every, but so many trees are just cherry trees, cherry blossom trees without cherries. Just so many blossoms. So at the same time, it's just like, bam, the beauty is immensely beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a few on the street outside, so I make sure I look at them every day, because they're there for such a short time, aren't they? You really have to enjoy them.
Yeah. That's again the not taking it for granted part. That's really powerful, I think. Even though it's kind of a sadness in it that it's not granted, it's powerful at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how do you create joy in your everyday life? Like really. Like seeing the little things is acknowledging it, but creating it for yourself. What are your habits also, and how do you treat yourself to feel joyful and take care of yourself?
I set my intentions for the day every morning, and I make sure that I build into that some of the things that I know will bring me joy. So I make sure I always have time for some reading. I always have time for some music. Even if I've got time, I'll just kind of stand up and dance around the kitchen to some really good music, or I'll just listen to it while I'm going about my business or my work. Spending time with my children if they'll let me.
How old are they now?
17 and 13.
If they let me. Oh.
No, they're great, but obviously they bring me lots of joy. So reading, music, that first cup of tea in the morning, might be coffee for some people. Just taking time, just not rushing around while I'm drinking it, just taking time to sit down and really enjoy it and get focused. And then just getting to the end of the day and just realizing that I'm grateful because I did make time for those things in my day. Just being happy about that.
So your intention in the morning, could you share this process, or are you willing to share this process with us? It sounds so nice, but if you're like, what's that? I don't dare to ask. I want to ask for everybody now thinking, what's setting an intention means?
It's nothing scientific, it's nothing complicated, and you can do it however you like, but I just like to sit down and go through my diary, see what I've got on, and then work around that, kind of build in the moments for me, the moments for family, the moments to do things that will bring me joy or make me happy or give me time to chill or relax, and just kind of plan my day and set out everything I want to achieve. No pressure, no stress. So if I don't achieve everything, I'm not going to beat myself up at the end of the day. But just kind of helps get my mind in order and just get me ready to start the day. So do you have a similar ritual?
Yeah, when I'm doing good, I get up early and have time for myself, because I have a meditation in my Facebook group from Monday to Thursday at 5:55. I love these numbers. So then we do a golden bubble meditation where we imagine to grow roots, into the middle of the earth and pull up this golden energy, beautiful energy. And also the energy is looking forward to spending the day with us, because down there it's just floaty, perfect energy, like a little boring, maybe no adventures, in the perfect energy state. So the golden energy is looking forward, floating through your whole body and spending the day with you and seeing and tasting and touching and everything. And then imagining like a spring, it floats out of your head, and then you're kind of in a golden curtain, and you can push it out, and then when it's at the edges, it's like popping up to a bubble, and you can walk around all day long and have your golden bubble around you. I just love this. Sometimes in the city, I'm not now, because of kind of lockdown in Switzerland, I'm not so often in the city, but it just feels you're walking differently, when you have this golden bubble around you. And then you can set intentions in the bubble, like today I want to be brave and bring some lightness in and trust me and life and a higher power if you believe in one, and just having these intentions floating around you. I love that. And it's for free in my paid group, so you can show up or not. And there is a group of people around 10, really every morning they're there. And then sometimes it's 15 or 20. And I do it in Swiss German because it's the time zone, I can't do it every hour when somebody else is showing up. But that's just now for myself too, because I'm today, because Friday is my off day. And then today I was like, no, I want to sleep in until 7 o'clock when I have to get up, Mika for school. So I would love to be more disciplined, but 4 days per week, I do that with my clients anyway. So
that's really good.
Yeah.
I have a similar one that I don't do it every day, and I certainly don't do it at 5:55. But it's imagining energy coming down from the universe, from as far away as you can possibly imagine, a bright white light. And you mentally kind of open the top of your cranium, and the white light kind of pours into you, and it pours all the way down into every cell, every atom of your body, and it goes all the way down through your feet into the earth, into the root, right into the core of the earth, into the center, and mixes with the earth's energy there. And then they both come back up into your body. So at the same time, you've got the energy coming down from the universe and coming up from the center of the earth, and they're all swirling around you. And that can really boost your energy and give you a real lift. And I should do that one more often, actually. I often forget, but it's really powerful. I love your idea of the bubble.
Going down to the earth. I did some, from stars, like star beams. And then you have the mix in your body, like the silver and the golden light, but going down and up again. I love that. Thank you so much for the inspiration.
Is a bright white light, and the energy coming up is a kind of pinky color. So they all swirl together. But your bubble, I love your bubble idea.
Yeah, you could do a bubble. You could create a bubble out of the mixture of your energy too.
Yeah, it's normally just a kind of protective layer, like an aura around you. But I love the idea of expanding it.
And the bubble is what I love to tell my clients too, is like, take full responsibility for what's happening in your bubble. You can't control the circumstances, but what you say or don't say on purpose, and what you do and not do, and just how you think and feel, you can take full responsibility within your bubble, whatever the world is doing and what's going on. And this responsibility, that in a good way, not like you're responsible, but like take care of what you do today. I love that. That's kind of an intention too.
And you can control what comes into your bubble. So any kind of negativity or negative energy, you can just block it. It's like, you're not coming into my bubble.
Absolutely. And then what I also love is like, if you need it, you can like in a finger snip, you have a mirror layer like on your bubble, and then everything is just reflected back. Like if your boss or somebody is yelling at you, you can imagine like the mirror going on like this, and like, oh, okay, but not taking it in. I know it's not so easy, but it helps. It supports you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
yeah,
it would be better not being surrounded by yelling people anyway. But yeah, if you have to deal with situations like that, it can help just mentally having this.
Just deflect it.
And I just have another thing. Did you try with colors? You know, I don't know. I don't remember where I learned that. But like, if you put yourself in a white bubble, you're nearly invisible. Like also at a party or at an event or somewhere in a venue, and then you can imagine a red bubble, and everybody's like, oh, who's that? So you can really play around with this energy. So I like to play around, obviously.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look into those colors because that sounds really fascinating.
Yeah, that's really, really cool.
Mm.
And also when you have a bicycle and you lock it in the city, I always put a white bubble around it in my mind, and it never, nobody touched my bicycle. So yeah, powerful, childish, joyful thoughts can have a big impact. That's for sure.
I do it with the car when I'm driving. If I'm driving, I kind of put a bubble around the car.
And what color do you choose?
It's just it's a transparent bubble. It's transparent, but it's just a kind of protective layer of energy.
That's so cool, you know, and that we can casually talk about that. That's so cool too.
People are going to think we're completely mad.
Yeah, but that's not our problem. And it's more fun to be a little mad. So would you tell us about EFT? And you said another technique I've never heard before, the imprint.
Matrix reimprinting.
Yes. Would you share a little more about what that is and how it works? Also the EFT, I think it's so valuable to hear it from you. I have some videos where I explain it, but I'm not an EFT practitioner at all, and I love Brad Yates, but I just know it like kind of, but you're the pro, so I would love to hear it from you.
Okay. Just a couple of, like a minute of background. I think it was about 5,000 years ago in the monasteries, the Taoist monks first documented energy channels running all through the body, like meridians. But then it wasn't until the 1960s in California, in America, maybe not California, that a man called Gary Craig developed a technique to kind of tap into these energy channels, and discovered that if you have any trauma or any kind of upsets, any emotional or physical disruptions, the energy channels can become blocked. So he, sorry, just a second.
Your super cute mug, I love it.
So he discovered a process to help unblock the energy channel so the energy can flow freely, and the distress, the emotional distress caused by the trauma or the events or the physical pain is released and people can heal. So it's often described as acupuncture without the needles, because we just use fingertips to kind of tap on points, which are meridian points on the face, on the hands, and on the body. And that helps it sends kinetic energy through the body to help release the blockages. And it's a bit like if you imagine a river and the water's blocked by lots of logs. You just need to kind of chip away at those logs, take away a few of the logs, and then the energy, the water starts to flow again, and it's a bit like that. So, and the matrix reimprinting, it's based on it's EFT, but it takes it a step further, and it was developed a few years ago by the Carl Dawson, the man I trained in EFT with. And it's based on the fact that when we have a trauma, whether it's a big trauma such as bereavement or abuse, or a small trauma it's not a small trauma, but like an accident or a big argument or something, then part of us freezes, the fight or flight or freeze response. Part of us freezes, and that kind of part of us breaks off, but it's still in our energy field. So that bit of trauma is always within us, always within our energy field. So in matrix reimprinting, you tap and then you bring back into your mind this version of you that experienced the echo, and you interact with them, you talk to them, you tap on them, you bring in kind of resources they might need, whether that's a friend, a family member, even a colour, something that makes them feel good. And then you just, in your mind, you tap on them to release their trauma and the belief that they caused, that they formed when that trauma happened. And for a child, it might be something completely innocent, like the parent saying, "Don't be silly," or "That was stupid." And they create a belief saying, "Wow, I'm really stupid," or "She rejected me because she doesn't love me, I'm not unlovable," which the parent has no idea about. And that wasn't obviously their intention, but that's the belief that this little child formed. And that belief can stay with you your whole life because the trauma is still there. And you can tend to attract experiences that will confirm this belief. So you can go through life being rejected by people, or finding people don't react well to you, or might say hurtful things to you. And you've no idea why. It just kind of confirms your belief that, oh, I'm not very likable or lovable, people don't really like me. But if you go back into this memory, often when you start tapping, your subconscious will bring up the memory and the echo, the version of you that experienced it, so you can work on them to help resolve it, release that belief, create a new belief that I am likable, I am lovable, I attract wonderful people into my life who appreciate me. And then you re-imprint that belief. And then you
kind of a little NLP, but it's similar, like do a different programming in that moment where that happened, or is that nothing to compare with?
I don't really know NLP, to be honest, so I can't really compare them. But you're working. I
just did it on myself to see the movie, like failing at the test, and then you change the movie, and you're in a she did auto, the relaxation technique. It's kind of a hypnotic state. What is the word? I just forgot. I have a total blackout about this word. But like you're super relaxed, and then you imagine this movie again, like you succeeding at this test, feeling calm, all the things you want without panic attacks, or just like, yeah, you can go through the test and know what you know and write it down, and then this overwrites the panic of I can't do this.
Yeah, it sounds.
Yeah, it sounds similar. That's why I thought about it. Yeah. But while you're tapping, you imagine yourself, I am this child now, called out by your mother.
Almost, you're kind of in your head, and you bring into your mind this child who was shouted at, but you kind of keep your distance. So you'll go to the child and say, "Hi, I'm you in the future. Is it okay? You're safe. Is it okay if we do a bit of work on this?" And then you're kind of tapping on them in the matrix, the energy field.
You imagine how you tap on them, but you do it on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wow. Yeah, I can imagine that.
You're tapping, and you bring in something they might need, like a cuddly toy, or, their mum, or anybody they might want. It's all led by them. You're having a conversation with them. If you bring in a parent, they can talk to their parent. You can freeze people. It's really magical.
And you your client is in a relaxed state of mind, or just closing eyes and that's let's go?
Just closing their eyes. You tap with them sometimes first, if you need to bring up the memory or calm them down or something, and then you can just go into it. So hypnotic state, no trance, just close your eyes and off you go. Obviously, if you're dealing with a huge trauma like abuse, you don't go back into the actual event, you'll go before or after, so you don't re-traumatize. But yeah, it can work. I've seen it work brilliantly with all kinds of things.
It's just, I just love it. You know, I'm personally not a big fan of just talking through things with a psychologist. It's you just talk about it, or I have some clients telling me like, yeah, well, I talked about it for hours, didn't felt any difference. And with all these techniques, which might sound a little scary or just like, really? But they go right to the issue in a gentle way. It's not like ripping out your trauma and then you're like, wow, what was that? And you can't. It's just so gentle and so yeah, in a loving way. And afterwards you feel the relief, like a ton of bricks is gone. That's just, it's not magic, it's technique and expertise, but it's just so cool to do it in another way.
It is. I mean, I've got a lot of respect for psychologists and therapists.
Me too. You know, that's really, really valuable. But sometimes other techniques are just effective.
Yeah. I mean, I know people who've had a lot of success with therapy, but it can take years and years. And you've got 50 minutes and you talk and you might just be getting to something really powerful. And you might be just coming to a really important moment. It's like, okay, time's up, see you next week. And you're like, and you have to hold on to that for a whole week. Whereas this will just work through it. And if somebody's really upset, we're not going to say, okay, time's up, off you go. You know, we're going to kind of manage that. And if it is something huge, we'll just put it in a box, put the lid on the box, lock it, put it away, and deal with it next time. We're not going to let somebody go completely traumatized or. So it's gentle but powerful, and it doesn't take years usually.
Yeah, that's. I did some courses. Do you know Malcolm Southwood? He's an English healer now, over 80. Such a wonderful person, and he was living in Basel in Switzerland, also working with together with the hospital there. So some doctors really trusted him, and sometimes they just brought him clients like, we will open this tummy in not 5 minutes, in half an hour, but if you can do something. And then if he could manage to just resolve the whole thing, it was just so good, you know, just with energy, with laying the hands, like relaxing muscles. And then the whole gut could just release everything in it, and they didn't have to do surgery. I mean, how cool is that? And he always said, I have 8 clients a day. I don't have time for like years and years of therapy. But I really don't want, and I feel you don't want to talk bad about psychiatrists and psychologists behind their back. Not at all. But like, there are so many options. It's like with normal medicine, with the doctors, I really love to go to osteopathy for bodily, you know, like balance and everything. And my doctor, I love him, but he's like, oh, that's all crap, you know. And I'm like, yeah, you can talk whatever you want. I love to go to have my liver at the right place, you know. It's
Maybe you should try talking to your doctor about matrix reimprinting and see what the reaction is.
Maybe he's not open for that. Maybe.
Yeah. No, I mean, medical science is amazing. I mean, I've had asthma for most of my life, and without drugs, you know, I might not be here. But there are so many other ways. And I find that a lot of doctors now are open to alternative ways of healing and looking at issues, but a lot still aren't. So I have to be very careful what I say.
Yeah, be careful or just don't bother. Like, yeah.
Or when you go and you have an issue and they say, oh, there's no cause, it just happened. And you're like, sure about that? But you don't say anything because it's not really worth it. But just go and work on it on your own, or find somebody to help you work on it.
Yeah, I once had a flickering in my eyes, like little flashes, and I was super stressed that I was working at 2 schools and at the primary school, and that wasn't at all my age where I felt comfortable. I was working for 12 years at the professional school too, and that was like these teenagers, they were like my, just perfect fit. We had such a good time together, but these primary school kids, for only one morning, they drove me crazy. And I had this flickering in my eyes, and they rushed me to hospital because what's that in behind the eye, where the magic happens of seeing? What's that?
It's not the retina, is it?
Oh yes, the retina.
The retina.
So the retina would go away. This layer could just be damaged and have a hole, and that would be. And they found nothing, and they were like, "Oh, that's interesting. That's not possible." I was like, "Yeah," and I had to go to controls after that, and I went to just the nearest eye doctor I could find, and she was a very, very old lady, really like. I think after 10 years after retirement, but she just kept working. She was lovely, but she said, "That's so funny. No, stress can't cause this," she said. Well, okay. Okay. No problem.
So did you treat it, or did it go away once you stopped working?
No, I went to my coach back then. She was in Zurich, and she had some energy things too with a little it wasn't acupuncture, but with a little silver stick. She pointed on points here, and everything relaxed, and it was better immediately. And of course, like, put down the stress levels and take care of yourself and sleep enough, and all these things are so valuable too.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the little techniques people have for controlling their stress levels, or if they know they're going to be in a stressful situation later, just taking some kind of action so they're prepared, so their kind of levels are down, their stress levels are down, and they don't go into the situation already stressed. So I know I'm going to be stressed, so I'm stressed already.
Yeah.
So tapping can be amazing for that. You just kind of calm yourself down in preparation.
And do you teach people like scripts like Brad Yates, or do you teach people writing their own scripts, or how do you work with EFT with your clients?
It's all very individual. So I don't teach people scripts. I will create scripts based on what they tell me, based on what their issues are and the conversation we've had, and that will change kind of sometimes every tapping round that we do. It will be tweaked. Every session it will be different depending on what's happening then, how things have changed since the last one. I mean, Brad is just amazing. I love Brad to pieces. But they're obviously, because they're on YouTube, they're just scripts. So if you're doing those, and they really do help thousands, millions of people, and I use them. I do use them. But you have to kind of, in your mind, you have to kind of keep in mind your own issue, your own specific thing, just to make it more targeted to you. So if I'm working with someone, it will all be about them. It won't be just about kind of stress in general or anger in general. It will be about their specific situation, and that makes it so much more powerful.
And then your clients have like homework during the week until the next session, or is it mostly like one session and the issue is resolved, or how do you
if it's something, sorry, go on.
No, go on.
I was just going to say, if it's something like physical pain, like they've got a stiff neck or something, that can go after one session. If you kind of find the issue, you can clear that up quite quickly. Not always, but it happens quite often. If it's something deeper, like some blocks or goes back to some childhood issue, then it will take longer. And I'd always encourage people to tap between sessions anyway, just because it's good, it's great, it's not going to do you any harm. If we've done matrix reimprinting, then I would encourage people to reimprint the positive memory and image and belief every morning as soon as they wake up. There's a few minutes between waking up and actually kind of, oh my God, I've got to do this today. That bit, that's the perfect time for just re-imprinting things in your mind. And then just before they go to sleep, when they turn out the light and they're relaxing, just re-imprint that. Ideally for about 21 days, but obviously we don't leave that long between sessions. So if you've just got a quiet moment in the day, you can just sit and go, yeah, that, and
just close your eyes and imagine it without the tapping.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Because at the end of matrix reimprinting, you create your kind of ideal scenario, how things will happen, who's there with you. You bring in the colors, you make everything as bright, as vivid, as realistic as possible. You see the colors, you smell the smells, you can see everything, hear everything. It's all bright and as vivid as possible. And then you send that image down into every atom of your body. Then you bring it back up to your heart and you send it out to the universe. And just doing that doesn't need to take long. It can only take a minute. Just doing that whenever you can helps to kind of re-imprint it into your brain and imprint the new belief. So I would encourage people to do that as often as possible, but at least twice a day if they can.
That sounds like a beautiful habit, just for anything you wish for.
Absolutely. There's no harm in doing that. If there's something you really, really want, just kind of imagine it in as much detail as you can and just imprint that in your brain and send it all through your body, all through your mind, and just send it out to the universe.
Wow, I love that. I see that I'm such a I see pictures when you describe it, I see the beam like in a heart shape coming out of and going to stars, and everything is so colorful and bright, and the smells and everything. So beautiful. Thank you so much. That's like now a gift you gave all the listeners and me. Really, that's beautiful. Thank you.
And even if you're not focusing on something specific, you can just kind of fill it with activity and with things that make you happy. So, it could be hearts, balloons, teddy bears, flowers, colors that you like, and just send that through your body. Fill it with love, with joy, with happiness, with contentment, all through your body, and then back up and out as far as it will go.
And I really believe that already this thought is changing the world, like the positive thought you are sending out is just so beautiful for the whole planet, for even the whole universe. So
it is, and the more people who do it, the bigger the ripple effect will be.
Yeah, absolutely. The ripple effect. That's something I'm such a big fan of too. Like just being nice to somebody, and then you don't know what happens further. I know that it's a German movie, Lola Runs. Did you see that? It's quite old, but we are the same age, so I think you could know it. But I don't know if it was popular in the UK. I think it's 95 or 6 or something. Run Lola Run, I think that was.
I've heard of it, but I've not seen it.
I really have to watch that again. It's that the coincidences, I don't believe in coincidences, but like a little tweak could change the whole story. So one time the movie is, I think, 3 parts, and every time something little else was different. So the whole story was different. So you see her like bumping into a mother with a baby car, and then like flashlights, like you see the next outcome because of this little incident. And there it's a not a thriller, but it's kind of a action movie in a cute way. And I love to imagine this in a joyful way. You know, when I'm nice to this person, or take my time to help somebody, or just pick up something and run after this person, like, oh, you lost this, how the ripple effect can just, you never know. There is no movie like showing it to you, but it's a good feeling of the stone or the pebble you were throwing into the water. Like,
it is, and I'm a big believer in paying it forward. So if somebody does something nice for you, even if it's just something like you're driving and somebody lets you out for them, and obviously you can't say thank you or pay them back, so just do something nice for somebody else and hope that they will do something nice for somebody else, and then it will carry on. But you just be kind. I mean, obviously we don't know what anybody else is going through. Just a smile and a good morning, and you never know, you might be the only person to smile at them that day. You might be the only person to say something kind to them that day, and that can have an amazing effect. So there's nothing to lose by being kind.
Yeah, and it's a big difference between being kind and being nice. So like being kind, you can be as generous with kindness as you want. And the niceness, I think there is the beauty of having boundaries, like, no, I don't do that. You know, that this difference is something I discuss with my clients a lot too, because it's just not the same.
No, I mean, being nice, often the motives are not the same. You know, you might be being nice to somebody, but it's not authentic to you. It doesn't feel quite right for you. Whereas I think being kind comes across as more authentic, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And
but just going back,
you can't go wrong with kindness. And if somebody is responding like rude or not receiving the kindness, that's not your problem. So I always say, if you have enough energy, you know, in your golden bubble, and you have this overflow, you can even be kind to a person not being kind or very grumpy. That's like next level kindness, you know, when you don't go into the argument, or like you don't feel low, or like, I have to defend myself. So you can be even kind to this person. It's like, and not every day. I can't do that every day, but when I can, I'm like, yes.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, obviously not everybody is going to react to your kindness, to your smile, to your good morning. But even if they don't react, even if they just kind of carry on walking and don't even acknowledge your existence, you never know, somewhere it might just have got in there somewhere. And at some part of the day, they might think, somebody said good morning to me.
Absolutely.
They might not, and that's not your problem, but they might, and that's really powerful.
I think that's I just have this revelation now. Like, the kindness is such a nice feeling, generates a nice feeling in myself, without expectations that somebody has to say, oh, thank you very much. It's just the kindness itself is just the present I give myself plus the outside world. So no expectations have to be met. I think that's kind of
absolutely. And it sounds as if we're kind of saying, some people might interpret it as, oh, I have to be positive and cheerful and happy all the time, which, you know, we're human. Nobody's positive and bright and sparky the whole time, but it's just kind of trying even if you don't, you're saying good morning to someone, you might not feel like saying good morning yourself, but just kind of saying it when somebody walks past you might help them, but it can also help you. If you're not feeling great, just going around smiling at people, just saying good morning or hello, that can raise your spirits as well as the other person. So it can have a double effect.
Yeah, that's something I'm stressing out so much too. Like this smile, like hello, that's it. I mean, you can feel the distress behind that smile right away. So never ever is that the positivity I mean, but really from the inside out, taking care of yourself, that you can be kind in the way you want to be kind, overflowing, bubbly, or just very calm and quiet, both just your authentic way of showing up in this world. That's I think where we feel our best, and just life is good when we are in the zone of genius. You know Gay Hendricks' book for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just re-listening to it for the 1000th time, and I'm getting again some nuggets like, wow, it's so cool and so good.
You tend to pick something up that's new every time, don't you? Like, wow. I must.
And when you said about paying it forward, these cheesy videos, I love them. They really move me to tears, even on YouTube, like paying it forward videos. Do you know them? There's plenty. No. Like, no, you might have seen them on Facebook or somewhere. I will look for some links and send it to you and put it underneath into the show notes underneath the video. Like this person helps this person, and then this person helps this person, and just the pain. And it's so like, yeah, I don't have a problem with cheesiness, if it's just in a good way. But there are plenty of very sweet videos on YouTube about this topic. It's like, oh. But you never know. Even like, I think in Thailand, they are very popular, like these kind of videos. Okay. And then, a person paying for the birthday cake for the little boy, even though the mother didn't have the money. And then 40 years later, the paying back is then coming back to this man. So I'll show it to you.
Mm-hmm. There's an advert on TV. I don't know if it's on at the moment. It used to be on, and it's a little girl with her mother. They're kind of outside a shop, and the little girl, I think it's the mum's birthday, and the little girl goes into the shop to buy a bar of chocolate for her mum for her birthday, and kind of an old shopkeeper, and she gets a bar of chocolate, puts it on the counter, gives him a couple of points. She's pulling things out of her pocket to pay with. It's like a couple of coins and a button and a little fairy doll, a little toy, because she hasn't got the money. And then the old shopkeeper just looks at her, and you're like, well, please let him, please let him take these things. And he just smiles, and he gives her the bar of chocolate and takes the things, and then the little toy, he just kind of gives it back to her as change. And it's just really beautiful. It's really sweet. And there's no you don't see anything nice happening to him later, but you just really hope, because that was such a lovely gesture just to let her buy the chocolate for her mum. It's just really lovely.
And what is the commercial? Which company is
I think it might be Cadbury's chocolate.
Okay. It's a chocolate, obviously. Mm-hmm. Hello, Ronja. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. And you never know. I like that. Mm-hmm. It's kind of the whole life experience. We have no guarantee. There is no, you said, like, nothing is granted. And with paying it forward, you don't know it too. It's a secret. Mm-hmm. And maybe you'll know later because of some very cool ways how life is going, but maybe not. And that's okay too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I sometimes find myself, if I let somebody out in front of me, or I do something or say something, I just find myself thinking, I really, really hope they pay that forward. I really hope they do. But you just have to let it go You know, you can't control it. You're probably never going to know. You just have to kind of let it go with good intentions. Just hope that the momentum carries forward. But we can only control
it will anyway, in some kind of way. That's what I really believe in. We don't have to micromanage our kindness and the outcomes. It's just like, oh, this is good. This is good. Yeah.
Yeah,
When I was a teacher, it's now 3 years ago. I quit after 12 years, and so the 15 years ago, the students who were then 18 are now 15 years older, obviously. So sometimes I get some feedback like, you were so kind in this little moment, and I don't even remember that's what you're saying, but it made a difference to them, or changed something, or just the perception of teachers and school. And we have an impact with every word we say and every action we do. And then I really think we shouldn't stress out like, oh, I have to have the perfect performance today. Like just be in the flow and listen to your intuition and trust yourself that you will say the right things. Otherwise it's like, oh, yeah,
that's really powerful. That's really lovely that, you know, somebody's come back to you after all these years and said that you made a real difference. And it just reminded me of something I read. And when I first read it, I was like, wow. And I just, sometimes you read something and you just have to think about it. You're like, wow. And it was that, you know, we have, obviously, everybody has their own version, their own image of what they're like. And we have our own image of how other people perceive us. But I just read that there are as many versions of us in the world as there are people we've met. Every single person we've come into contact with, even for just a second, formed a different impression of who we are, based on who they are, based on their experiences, their life, just based on how they were feeling that day. Just everybody has a completely different image of who we are. So there's no one version of us. There's just as many versions of us as there are people we've interacted with. And I was like, wow.
Yeah, that's really wow. Do you remember who wrote that or where you read it? That I would love to.
I don't, but I'll have a look and I'll see if I can send you a link.
Because I just had goosebumps on all over my body. That's so true.
And it's not something we think about, is it? We just think, well, we're us. Everybody sees us how we are. But now everybody sees us completely differently.
I bought the magazine, or I booked the magazine for the whole year for Mika. She's now 10. And there is a new only for girls magazine, beautifully made, like very feminist and you know, like not the topics of like beauty and makeup and you should please boys, that you have a boyfriend, or just I can't believe that these magazines are still out there and so popular. And it was a cool illustrated about selfies, you know, 2 selfies and the perception of 2 girls, like, oh, she's so beautiful, oh, she's so cool, she has so many friends. And then the next scene is how the circumstances is. The beautiful girl has no money, and the dad is calling her out that she bought another makeup instead of food for her little sister. And the other girl with the lot of friends on the picture, the parents were arguing. Like, you never know, as you said, what somebody is going through. And all these perceptions are so difficult to manage for the little ones, and social media to not feeling like less than worth something, or just comparing is so
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's I think comparing is not dangerous per se, but like, yeah, it could be impacting you in a...
Yeah, that sounds like a brilliant magazine.
Yes, it really is. And it's in French. Oh, you know French. So it's French and German now. They just started a crowdfunding, and they started last in December it was the first, and it's only every second month, but it's just a beautiful piece of art. Even I'm really happy to
When I think back to the magazines I used to read when I was younger, and it's, you know, it's all about makeup, and you must look like this, and you must lose weight and be this size, and this pressure, just, you know, just unrealistic expectations. But you take those on as a young person. You think, this is how I need to be, this is how I need to look if I'm going to fit in and please people, and nobody will like me if I'm overweight or underweight, and it's just so much pressure that we don't need.
How do you deal with that with your kids? They're even older. I mean, at 17, you're grown up. You can, even at 10, you have your own opinion and you will make your way anyway. But how did you manage to navigate through these
just
waters?
Kind of, you know, that there was never such a magazine as the one you just described, but I would always say, you know, you have to be your own person. You can't fit into stereotypes. I remember an article, there was something on YouTube or in the press about showing the real images behind the images that we see in magazines. So the person who's on the front cover of the magazine, just showing, if it's a young person's magazine, just showing what she looked like when she got out of bed in the morning, or when she arrived at the studio before she had all the makeup and the nice clothes and the, you know, the flattering lighting and everything, just showing the real person. And the floor, everything they airbrush out, and showing people, models or people they put in magazines to demonstrate the clothes, just showing how they use their techniques to tweak their body so their waist is thin and, you know, their shoulders are back and their face is perfect, just showing them the real images behind that. That was a real eye-opener as well. It's like, oh, these people are not actually like that in real life. They just look like anybody else does. And if I walk past them in the street, I wouldn't notice them because they're just normal people. It's kind of, don't base your life on these unrealistic expectations. So, but it's hard. I mean, they still, you know, young people still interact with their friends. I remember when I was at school, I had a friend who never ever came to school without like lots and lots of makeup, and I didn't notice until one day she came in without the makeup. Now I thought she was about to die. She looked beautiful, but it was just several shades paler than she had been. And it's just, you know, nobody needs to cover themselves up unless they want to. If they want to, that's fine, as long as they're not hiding behind it or protecting themselves from something. If it gives you a boost, then great, go for it. If it makes you feel kind of happier and just makes you feel a little bit more confident. But, you know, nobody should feel they have to do that to fit in or to be accepted. I think that's really important to learn.
Yeah, and in the end, it's again from the inside out, and that's what your work is doing, like clearing up, chipping away the logs, that your flow of energy is flowing, and then you're more stable in your own like life and who you are, and you're not so easily like pulled over or knocked over. Mm-hmm. But it's a process. I think I really look forward to evolving my daughter, because it's so different, and I'm different than my mom, even though my parents did a beautiful, you know, their parenting. I'm still in a very beautiful relationship with them, but I had such a hard time in school, and fitting in was hard, and everything was hard in school. And now I see my girl, but she has the confidence of my husband. You know, it's just amazing to be in life and watch things evolve and change and grow. And
mm-hmm. And with EFT, it's just about uncovering who you are, you know, the real you. And we all have it inside us. And it's taken years to kind of cover that up. The layers have been piled on over the years, you know, the doubt, any hurtful comments, it's all kind of piled on top of us. So it's just kind of peeling that onion back. just peeling it away till we get back to the real you, and you can refine that self-belief and self-confidence.
And be just yourself and find out who you want to be. I think that's so beautiful. You can be quiet, you can be loud, you can be quiet this day and loud the other day. You just don't have to fit in a mold at all.
No, you don't have to be what anybody else wants or expects you to be. You can just be you. And if people don't like that, that's not your problem. Not your problem at all.
We nearly did that already. Like your message to the world. I like to close the hour with just your message. Like the whole world is listening. It's possible that everybody is listening to our conversation. So what would you say just to the world?
I would just say, just be yourself. You can't be anyone else. You are yourself. So just embrace that. If you need to just take time for yourself, do it. If you need to be quiet and go within for a while every day, do it. Do whatever you need to do. But just try your best to find your authentic self, your confidence, and just be real. You'll have a much greater impact in the world if you can just be your real self. So just go for it. Just try and find joy and find beauty in everything you can.
Thank you so much, Angie. It was like the hour flew by, and we will post all the website and all the contact details of you behind the video, below the video, and in the show notes, that everybody can find you to book an EFT session with you. Because I mean, first you have to learn about what's EFT, and then you can go to Radiates, and then if there is something around, it's just so helpful to have professional help.
Absolutely, it is. It can really help, make a big difference. But yeah. Thank you, Ronja.
Thank you so much
for having me on your podcast. It's been amazing.
Thank you so much for your beautiful energy. We will change the world by being ourselves. That's for sure. Thank you so much.
And I hope it won't be another 5 years till we next speak.
Yes, let's meet in person. Yes. Bye-bye.
Hey, take care.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this interview as much as I did. Please subscribe and leave a review on iTunes if you liked it. Also, make sure to join my free Joy group on Facebook to discuss this episode and other Joy topics, and you can find the link to it in my show notes on joyismycompass.com/blog. If you are looking for ways to incorporate more joy into your daily life, I've got the most awesome tool for you. Head over to joyismycompass.com/UA to hire your personal universal assistant. What is that? You'll find out. Just click on the link joyismycompass.com/UA. See you in the next episode.